First off, what an honor to be speaking here. Conversations, interactions I've had over the last 2+ days really been truly rewarding. A lot of coaches, staff, others associated with the company. We just communicated mostly virtually. To put a face to the name has been really rewarding. For a guy who works remotely for the vast majority of the time, it's been special. So for my portion of the conference, I'd like to focus on a topic that has been quite polarizing. My assumption is that some of you have a positive opinion about the portal, some of you maybe have a very negative opinion about the portal, but our hope is here to change potentially that aspect to a positive one. So in my opinion, the sport is at an inflection point. The portal has become massive, roster management is now an overwhelming game of musical chairs, and the NIL has thrown an additional curveball into the sport. But at times like these, at the same time, there's an opportunity to adapt, and there's an advantage to help your team, your player, whomever, grow within and succeed. So I'll start today's presentation on the portal with an example from a book I'm sure many of you are aware of, Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. So in summary, he stated that success, while a difficult outcome to place into a neat formula, it correlates strongly with the ability and opportunity that individuals have. So a lot of people have innate ability, but they don't have near the access as others to effectively achieve their opportunities, or they didn't take advantage of those opportunities, and vice versa. But I think this fits in nicely with the portal is that this is very clearly an opportunity. This is new. This is something in which we're all having to adapt with very quickly as things are changing. So one example from Gladwell's book is Bill Joy. So in 1971, the University of Michigan, they opened up a new computer system in which they went from an old checking system to then a computer operating system. He found a glitch in the computer operating system, so he was able to go literally into their computer system 24/7. Therefore, he was able to work 8 to 10 hours, get better in coding, and he became a billionaire from his engineering based upon potentially his opportunity. So he had the ability, but he also had the opportunity. So what he saw was a pivotal period and he took advantage of it. And this seems like a direct correlation to where we're at within the portal. So with all good presentations, a catchy quote is generally a necessity. So it felt like a Jordan one quite simplified what we were hoping to talk about. So obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or walk around it. In summary, life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So we're in a period in which the portal is giving us lemonades, giving us lemons. How do we make lemonade? So the big question, which has been fairly self-evident, is how big is this problem? We know it's a problem, but what is the volume? So we had approximately 33,000 players in our system last year. And of those 33,000 players, over 5,000 at some point had entered the portal. This number isn't going down. With the new JUCO exemptions, roster adjustments from 40 to 34, with the newly mentioned possibility of a 5th year, there's no doubt that this number will rise from 5,000 to we'll see what will happen this year. Clearly, it's going to go up. So to put into further perspective, of the 12,000 guys at the D1 level, the previous subset we were talking about 17% of them, over 2,000, have transferred at some point in their career. If you look at just the Power 4 conferences of the 2,600 guys, you're talking about 616. So it is increasing. So that 25%, again, that's going up. That's not going down. So the question we get from coaches is, how does perceived portal success, how does that roster management that is derived from the portal, how does that correlate to on-field success? Looking at the teams in the NCAA tournament, you can clearly see that embedded within those rosters, the portal was a key aspect to it. So of the 64 teams in the tournament, 24% of all innings pitched came from transfer portal players. 18 of those teams had more than a third of their innings pitched from those players. And for hitting, 27% of all ABs came in the transfer portal, and 21 of those teams had more than 33% going into the portal. In summary, you're looking at 6 to 10 guys on your roster who aren't just on your roster, they're active participants who are in the portal or who have portaled at some point in their career. So we have an opportunity in the portal. Similar to Bill Joy, we at 64Analytics saw an opportunity to help coaches tackle and succeed with that new challenge. Or as we see it, an alternative means to find and, more importantly, maintain success. With the oscillation of the sport, you want to make sure that you have a steady feature to provide to your athletic department to show that you have the ability to succeed into the future. So, as we're pretty new into the space, I'd love to introduce you to the company and how we can help you succeed. So, as I briefly talked about in the summer of 23, looking around the college landscape, it seemed as though there was access for sports like basketball and football for a unique way to subjectively rank those individuals that were going in the portal. While those opinions perhaps differed across which platform you were looking at, they seemed to have an ability to at least rationalize the volume of players that were going in. However, that wasn't there for baseball. We had spreadsheets, we had random posts on Twitter. It was basically trying to, and your needle in a haystack, all you were seeing was hay. So we thought we would give it a shot. So last summer, created a Google Doc. Oh, I went to the top. Give me a second. Last summer, created a Google Doc and put that on the internet, and it effectively grew like wildfire. So this could be from a number of different things. So we had over 80 teams reach out. Of those 80 teams, it could be, who are you? Where does your rankings come from? It could be, hey, we're looking for a left-handed pitcher. And some just wanted to find more about the sport. But the key thing that we got a lot of questions associated was, where did we gather our instantaneous rankings of the individuals? So where our coaches found the most value is when those guys go in, we don't just say Bobby went in the portal. We say Bobby is an 85th percentile portal player. You should be interested in Bobby. So let me break down a little bit where those rankings are coming from. The key desire is to have those rankings be as objective as humanly possible. So the vast majority of the algorithm is based upon the statistics that the individual has. So you can have subjective means, but we tried to make it to where the vast majority of the weight were based upon stats. And not just a single year, but a multi-year look back. So you're not just looking at a small sample size, you're looking at the largest sample size that you can have for that individual. Additionally, we had to add in some subjective means. A good example for our Major League Baseball projections, you look at a guy like Brady Neal. Now, so Brady Neal had 180 ABs at LSU. Most guys average everyday starters, 200, 250 ABs a year. So in theory, he was about a 45% usage guy at LSU. So when we're doing our 3-year look back, perhaps he wasn't in that 90th percentile for stats. But very clearly, Brady had MLB adjustments that needed. So we added in an aspect associated that with their cumulative association with Major League projections. Same exact thought process for high school. Max Williams, great example for this. 25 ABs at Alabama, highly thought out of high school, went into the portal, went to Florida State. He became nearly an everyday player. So in theory, when we looked at it from an objective stat standpoint, we were going, this guy only has 25 ABs in the entirety of his career. So obviously from that stats, that top bullet, he wasn't in one of the higher percentiles. But because he had a subjective addition, we wanted to make sure we were incorporating that. Team conference, this one's pretty self-explanatory. You just extrapolate it based upon RPI and say basically, hey, I play in the SEC, therefore my strength of stat is higher, if that makes sense. You're trying to weight it, trying to give value for the individuals that provide that input. And this is D1 through D3. So the unique thing is that we rank all 950 teams. We provide all rankings for all 75,000 guys in our system. So you can go in there. We love the feedback of items you would like to adjust, things that you would like to change. But effectively, we have it to where as soon as they go in, we know where they're at. Additionally, two-way player. I don't think TCU's here. I don't see Sarlo's here. They got Peyton Tolley. So when he went in, I think we had him at like 50 or 60, and this guy's way too low. I was like, why is he not higher than what I would like for him to be? It's because he was a two-way guy at Wichita State. Not only did they see him as a potential Friday night starter, but he was additionally a guy that they can incorporate into their DH spot. So again, fifth metric, if a guy had an adjustment. Like Brady Montgomery when he went to A&M, I think he had like 1 inning pitched at Stanford. I can't remember. It didn't go well, but it really didn't affect his. I think he was number 1 for us in 23, so it didn't really affect his ranking. But it's a small bump that we are trying to again provide a complete picture. This array right here, this little graph, is just basically showing you the individual that has the most surface area is then the individual that we can rank. And because our system is tied to the data, we are able to rank those individuals immediately. So the stats are good, the idea is good, but what is the practice? What is it like in practice? So this was our first year. We kicked off what we'll be calling the board here in just a second. And we ended up with 14 of the top 25 programs who are utilizing our full service. We have, if you visited the site, we have a few different subs. One's pretty basic, and then there's one that's like for our coaches. And the one we have for our coaches, we put a lot more toys into it to attract them. So of the 52 teams that requested a live demonstration, 44 of them went on to purchase our full site subscription. As soon as I show you the notifications, you'll probably know why. Once they started to see what we could provide for them to basically become their GM for them, their consultant GM, they wanted to sign up fairly rapidly. So for those unfamiliar with the site or really haven't stopped by the booth, I thought I'd highlight a few functions that the coaches are really raving about. So these are, I would say, the 6 key highlights for the portal that we have seen have shown the most edge for our programs. So we'll jump into it and the filter capabilities. So I'll kind of walk you through as go. So we click on the board, which is the right side, and this is every single player, D1 through D3. You can filter by their name, you can filter by their position, you can, you can filter by classification. If you're looking for a certain guy, maybe your program needs someone who's a senior, you're not able to do sophomores. Height, if you're interested. This is one thing that one of our programs really wanted. They wanted to know when a guy went in. So if you're looking at guys who just went in December, as you can see, everything is adjusting as we're updating it. This is a very interactive UI. You're looking for a guy who's a switch hitter, is in the portal. Let's see, what else do we do? Now we just want all. Basically, you can tinker with this as much as you want. And then view, again, all results for hitters. This is just hitters. So we also have advanced filters. So this advanced filters is an ability to go in and say, all right, well, I'm looking for a guy who's played 10 games to 30 games, and I'll apply my filter. So now you've gone from your 17 or whatever the number was to now 7,000 guys. These are the guys who play within 10, 30. You want to add another filter. Okay, I'm looking for a guy who said home runs. Like I want a guy, I think I said 5 home runs. Yeah, what did I do? Yeah, 5. We went with 5 home runs. So you apply the filter, and now you're down to 16 guys. Clearly makes sense. They're only playing 10 to 30 games. They're not going to hit a lot of home runs. But we want a big bopper. So we're going to go, I think I did like 800 just for 750, just for fun. And then last filter I think I put in there was average. I think I did like a 275 minimum. 275. And then we'll apply it. So you can see all 4 filters are on there right now. So you've gone from your 17,000 to 16. You're getting rid of the hay. You are focusing on the needles. And then I just want to look at the guys in the portal. Now, you can then quickly decide where you want to go from there. And that's where we're going to go with the next step. And then you can add players to your queue. A number of feedback that we got from coaches is we have 10 spreadsheets. I want to get rid of my spreadsheets. Give me a site that allows me to put in information. So we've got our portal guys. We are adding in some different filters here. I don't want guys that are committed. So I'm only looking at 7. Again, this is my exact same set that I just did for you in the previous video. So of these 7, let's say that I really like William. So I'm gonna select William. I'm gonna go over to my action icon, and I'm gonna add him to my lineup. So when I add William to my lineup, effectively what you're doing is you're creating a queue that is a saved lineup. So if you have an assistant coach that likes an individual, you put them in the queue, it stays there. And this is a login that is ubiquitous across your whole team. So it's not like you have to have multiple subscriptions. You can have a single subscription for the same team. Dive into his stats, look a little bit deeper. And yes, let's see. I think we're going to the end of that one. Oh, and then again, additionally, you can also filter by lineup only. This is another request that a team had, is they had their group, they got it down to the 100 guys they wanted, and they wanted to just look at those 100. They didn't care about the 5,088. They wanted to just look at those 100 guys. So we'll filter for everything that's in the portal. We'll get rid of all our other filters. And so then you can see that the 5 hitters and the position players line up exactly with the 5 that are shown within your lineup. So again, it allows you an easy way to maintain where you are in terms of your player determinations. And this is what we've really seen is the bread and butter for the site is the notifications. So a lot of teams have smaller groups. They maybe have 1 or 2 guys that are in charge of the portal. Maybe they're at a game and they're trying to decide which the guy to go with. It's June 1st, 900 guys are going in. I want to be able to set a filter for a pitcher. And let's go, he's in the portal. Let's say advanced filters. I think we did a whip here. Or no, game started. I wanted a starter, so minimum of 5 games. Back to the filter. Fit fielding independent pitching. Max 5. So we want a pretty good pitcher. So you're down to like 295-ish some odd guys. So you can set a notification on this. So what this allows you to do is when 900 guys go into the portal on June 1, you're not listening to the noise. You are literally only listening to the information that you want, to the guys that you want. You can see all of the notifications I've created for coaches and our demos. And what it does is it immediately sets that right there. You can run your search. You can go back to this, and it'll highlight the players that you're seeing. If you want to change your filter, you hit the little pencil, say, hey, I actually want a guy who started more games. 5 isn't enough for me. Let's go to 8. And you can quickly see how you're able to, again, get rid of the hay. And that's been our whole process of trying to make it as simple as possible for you all to see that 5,088 is not daunting, but as an opportunity to see how we can move forward. Also, if let's say you play Jack. Let's say you play Jack. Jack's really good. And your theory is Jack may go in the portal. I can set a notification for just Jack. Just Jack. So once Jack hits the portal, you get an email into your system saying, hey, guess what? Jack's in the portal. You're able to send him an email first, give him a call first, and you're able to jump ahead of the game. That's really where we've gotten the best feedback from so far has been associated with our notification features. Let's go to the next one. Compare players. So the idea with this is, okay, you've got your 7 guys. I want to know which one I really want. So if you go over to the action icon, you can actually add these individuals to the bottom for a comparison tool. What this allows you to do is very quickly put them side by side. So we're going to let the video go a little bit. I'll add all 4 of them. Go to the bottom. And so now we see all 4 pictures that we just added to the comparison tool. So now we just want to look at specific metrics for those guys. Not all of them, just the ones we're interested in. So we'll talk about our game started. Maybe we're looking at like a strike to walkout ratio. What else did I put in here? Whip. I'll put a whip in there. Add the metric. What else did we do? I think I did pitching allowed OPS. I tried to go a little slower on this to keep myself from talking too fast. Maybe I did a little too slow. Yep, there's our pitcher OPS. So you add the metric, and now what you have is those 4 players from the 7 you were looking at, and you can instantaneously say, this is what we want. This is what our pitching coach is looking for. These are the guys we're highlighting. Hey, pitching coach, let's take a closer look at this guy. And you can remove the metrics if you're not interested in anymore. You can remove a player if you're like, hey, maybe you didn't fit what we were looking for. You can go back to your top of 7 and you can add them in. Additionally, you can add in your own comments. So this goes back to the multi-coach usage. Is if I have 5 coaches, let's say my first one, what he really is he's the filter. He wants to give me just the 50 guys that I want to deep dive into. What this allows you to do is like say, I've seen Jack live. We need to offer this guy. And it saves that note into a sticky note that is only for your profile. This isn't something that other people can see. This is assigned to your profile. So you can go in if you want to edit that note, because what we have is we'd have multiple coaches. And so someone else would go in, type in, say, agreed. So you would add in your agreed, and what you'd effectively be doing is you would be allowing for efficient communication at a time in which efficiency is of paramount importance. So we can delete the note if we want. And so now it's off of Jack. And we also have a player notes section. So if you want to see all notes that you've added in, you can see the random ones that I've done. Charlie told me he wants to be a Yale Jacket. I think we were doing that for Georgia Tech. I was giving him an example. He didn't want to go first round. He wanted to go to Georgia Tech. So ultimately, that's our note system. Again, you can see where Charlie's was. And yeah, perfect. Last one that I want to talk about was mobile friendly. Biggest thing that we got from coaches. Again, I'm at the ballpark. I want to be able to do this while I'm watching the game because I have to tackle 10 things at once. I'm doing everything that I just did, and I'm just screen sharing my phone. That way you can see how efficient this is to be able to do it just from your mobile device. It's not something that you have to go to a laptop that's hooked up to a server. You can be sitting, in Arizona watching a game and tackling your GM possibilities right then and there. So we're pretty proud of this, and we're pretty excited with what we've got. But again, the end goal is effectively to save you time. Focus on the needles, not the hay. 900 schools in D1 through D3, 200 JUCO schools, 200 in AIA. The vast majority of those programs, again, smaller operations for roster management. We want to be your outsourced GM to help you tackle those difficulties, or to give you an additional data source to be able to make a determination of whether or not you're going to move forward with an individual. So again, similar to what Gladwell talked about, this is an opportunity. We're trying to provide you an avenue to succeed in that opportunity that seems vast and daunting. So what's the feedback we've gotten? So at the end of it, we really wanted to we wanted to effectively, in my opinion, get some negative feedback. I want to improve. And honestly, the vast majority was overwhelmingly positive. Texas, 64Analytics, most comprehensive tool that we use. Expedites the process. Kansas, I don't think they're here because they wanted to beat the 20 inches of snow or whatever they're about to get. But they absolutely love using 64Analytics, a secret weapon that helps them uncover the best talent. South Alabama streamlined how they were able to follow and recruit on the portal. They recommended us multiple times. I've had many teams come to us and say, one of their coaches brought me here. And so they've with the highest regard. And North Florida, best portal service out there. Ole Miss, and basically saying the ability to sort players by an infinite number of ways. So what I was showing you with 4, you can have as much fun with it as you want. Now, we had one team that had 70 notifications. Now, I don't know if I'd recommend 70, because when you have 5,000 guys go in, you can just extrapolate a number and see like that's a lot of emails. So I don't know if I'd recommend that. But teams had as much fun as they wanted with it. So here we go. The feedback's been positive. The rankings clearly correlate with success on the field. But again, this is a new opportunity. Pretending like we have a firm grasp on that formula for success after 1 year, really, it's not a rational thought. So we're adapting. We're adding new functions to the site all the time. Specifically, we're excited what's to come in 2025. So I wanted to jump into what's to happen here in 2025. 3 key ones that I wanted to focus on. Specifically, we're going to have play-by-play for every game D1 through D3. So we've already got in the system all of the plays for last year. What this really helps us do, and I'll zoom in on it a little bit here, is it allows for an introduction of RE24. We've probably had about a 10% hit rate on the individuals who are associated with RE24. The pros use a little more, I'll give you a little deep dive. Run expectancy based upon 24 out expectations. Real quick synopsis. You have 0 runs, nobody on, option 1. 0, no outs, 1 guy on first, option 2. Permutation, there are 24 of them. And so what this is saying is per inning, your average is about 0.7 runs per game. But that adjusts based upon if you have outs, if you have guys on, and what is your end state minus your beginning state, and how much value did you provide. So again, we're looking at Charlie. So when he was up, there was 1 guy out, nobody on. He singled the shortstop. And so the end state increased by 0.345. Again, what this does is it gets rid of the noise. Does Charlie have someone on in front of him that's good? Is the guy behind him not good? Like, does he get walked a lot because the guy behind him is not good? Does he get a lot of RBIs because the guys in front of him are really good? And so he just gets that because guys are on. It tries to reduce the noise. And again, our goal, provide as much data as humanly possible for you. And if you don't want it, lovely, but this is something that really has been pushed in the pros. Astros are the ones that kind of really went after this aggressively in 23. You look at their team, Alvarez, Tucker, Bregman, McCormick, Altuve in 23, they were all top 5 RE24. So this is something that they focused on quite aggressively. And additionally, it provides us a foundation, again, of 2 million rows of data. And that's what this is. 1 season, 900 teams, every play, 2 million rows of data. So, and again, from this, it allows us to track, not just, hey, how did Charlie do against Northern Kentucky? How does he do across the season? How does he do home versus away? How does he do conference opponents, non-conference opponents, midweek games, weekend games? Again, We're trying to provide whatever means to be able to provide you the mechanism for success to determine whether a player will be value add for your team. Ultimately, our goal is to provide far more than just a summed box score. We want to provide you actual analysis of the players rather than just a regurgitation of a box score. So this one's probably my favorite. I mean, maybe because I like the graphic a lot, but whatever. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from coaches that they have an emphasis associated with the geographic location of their recruits. Maybe they have scholarship limitations, perhaps regional state-based incentives, local guys, NIL, etc. Something's driving them to want to get state-based. So what we're going to be doing in this year is we're going to be adding in filters. If you're looking for, let's say you're your team in Florida and you only want to look in Florida, maybe your coach is from Texas, you only want to look in Texas. We're applying the exact same filter mechanisms that we had in 24, and now we're adding a geographic location again to try to provide you a further aspect to dive into the players where previously perhaps you didn't have that opportunity to do so. Ultimately, there's more to come in 25. We hope to share it in the near future, but if you're one of the 40 schools who are with us in 24, you'll be blown away by what we're going to be doing in 25. So, end of the day, we're diving headfirst into the waters. We at 64Analytics want to grow and succeed with you. Getting recommendations from you all, your insights, your constructive feedback is how we get better. This QR code is my Calendly, and we love to do demos. If you would be interested in setting up a Zoom where we could go into more depth, like our weighted run created efficiency, weighted run allowed efficiency, it's a new stat that we created ultimately associated with Bill James when he created the run created formula. It made perfect sense for the pros. Perfect sense. It doesn't make as much sense for the college game. You hit a home run off of Paul Skeens, it shouldn't count like hitting a home run off of Paul Blart. Using run created, exact same number. So we extrapolate, we base foundational stats based upon what's your expectation, what's your opponent's expectation, what's your divisional expectation, and then you have a barometric, you have an adjustment associated with that. And then there's an emphasis, is it a weekend game, is it a midweek game, who's your opponent? Many different stratified layers to ultimately, again, quickly provide an analysis for a player to try to drive more information for you. Lastly, we're running extended subs right now. If you're interested, these are our QR codes. I placed a few of them across the room. If you're interested, I've also got a few more up front. We'd love to talk. And again, it's been a pleasure. My hope is you've been able to come out of this with a view of what many perceive to be an obstacle. Success is actually your team's key to success. Let us be your 24/7 computer system that you can grow and do 8 to 10 hours of coding and be like Bill Joy. So I appreciate it. And any questions, I don't know if anyone would like to ask questions, but if not, I can step off and answer them.